الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله.
Radio Al-Ansar, Durban, 90.4 FM, Peter Maritzburg, 105.6 FM. The views and opinions expressed by the presenters and guests of Radio Al-Ansar are not necessarily the views and opinions of Radio Al-Ansar and the Al-Ansar Foundation.
Business Matters. The title suggests many things. The important issue is the world revolves around business, society, organizations, individuals, and even religion survives and thrives because of business. Business has to encompass not just financial commodity and service transactions. It has also to include welfare, justice, empowerment, environmental, and other issues too. Every week, Business Matters will delve into aspects of business that impact our lives. We will seek out extraordinary and ordinary people who have done extraordinary things. Facilitators, educators, and entrepreneurs will be invited to inspire and enlighten our listeners. Join Anwar Moolla for an interactive show and find out what really matters in business.
نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Yes, it's Monday night. Yes, it's the Business Matters program with me, Anwar Moolla. Just gone 15 minutes past 7. It's the 8th of June. And we have a guest on the line today on the Business Matters program. Business Matters brought to you by the Minara Chamber of Commerce. Minara Chamber of Commerce made an important announcement towards the tail end of last week. They've opened nominations for the Minara Business Awards. Business Awards normally take place around about October, November. Nominations have opened. So if you feel there's anybody deserving of any category, whether it's female business person of the year, small business, large business, young business entrepreneurs, please do nominate them. Sometimes give them a surprise, and let's recognize the talent that's out there. Let's recognize what people are doing. They not always want to be recognized, but let's, as an encouragement to others, as mentors to others, let's recognize what achievements have been made out there by our business people, our Muslim business people. Having said that, I'd like to introduce our guest for tonight. He's joining us on the line. His name is YAZID BOHARDIEN. I hope I pronounced that rightly. YAZID, assalamu alaikum and welcome to Radio Al-Ansar.
Wa alaikum salam, Anwar. Assalamu alaikum to your listeners as well.
Wa alaikum assalam. YAZID, we're hearing you loud and clear. Seems to be a great connection tonight. You are the CEO of a company called LAUNCHPATH. So before we get into the actual topic of tonight, which is how businesses can create real pathways into work, let's tell us a little bit about your company, where you're based, and what LAUNCHPATH is all about.
Perfect. Shukran so much for the platform and for hosting me to discuss such an important topic that impacts all of us. LAUNCHPATH was literally born out of pure frustration after spending close to 2 decades in the edtech industry, on the other side of the door where we educate the youth. It was left with pure frustration and I want to say anger, that to the point of what's the point we're educating our youth and yet they still sit with no opportunity to put food on the table. Hence entered the idea of how do we actually create an ecosystem and a community to help solve this. And from that, after discussing it with my wife and hearing me complain for so long, she literally said, "Yes, somebody needs to do something about this." So that gave birth to LAUNCHPATH eventually.
And how long ago was this?
This was just over a year ago now.
Okay. Yeah. We do know the challenges that faced us in South Africa, unemployment being a huge factor. Latest statistics state unemployment in South Africa over 35% in the formal sector. Besides the fact that a small group of taxpayers carry all the burden of the taxes, and the government basically taps on the same people all the time. They say an idle mind is a devil's workshop. We don't want our youth to be idle. We want to create employment opportunities, and we need to applaud people like Yazid who have taken the so-called bull by the horns in creating these opportunities. So, Yazid, South Africa faces exceptionally high youth unemployment. What role should businesses play specifically in creating meaningful pathways into employment rather than just simply filling vacancies?
Excellent question, and what a way to start the segment. I think when we talk about youth unemployment, the conversation usually starts with skills, education, or government, someone else's problem. And I think businesses need to stop seeing youth employment as someone else's responsibility. Yes, government has a role, education providers and institutions have a role, communities have a role, but eventually a young person needs an employer to say, I'll give that person a chance. Um, but that doesn't also mean that the employer needs to create this massive graduate program that is complicated. It could simply just be one internship, one junior hire, one person even doing job shadowing for the team. For businesses, it may feel very small, but for the young person, that first opportunity becomes experience, confidence, a reference of often foundation for everything that comes after that.
Yeah, but to play devil's advocate, most businesses today are of the opinion that if I employ somebody straight out of school or straight out of university, no matter how good the person may be from a theoretical point of view, he's still going to be having to be taught about my business, the way my business runs, what is expected of my business. And then a lot of time, effort, resources are spent training the person at work. And then inevitably, when the person is kind of just about trained and ready to kind of become an asset to that company, then the person decides to leave for some greener pastures because he now has that experience. So businesses generally tend to be of the opinion that I'd rather employ somebody who has the experience rather than taking on somebody and having to train them and give them the experience, because once they've got the experience, out they go and move on to other greener pastures. Your comments on something like that?
I mean, 100% correct. That's, I love when you said you play devil's advocate because that's exactly the risk and the lens that most businesses look at it through these days. But if we flip that script to the other side, where we look at skills over credentials itself, and we harness the skills and create an asset, and I'm using the word asset loosely because we are speaking about people and youth, but we create an asset of value that injects value into your business, even if they're there for 1 year, 2 years, or 5 years, they've already paid back your investment into the business itself. So it depends on what you value within the growth itself of the person.
So let's focus on your company a little bit now. Where do y'all kind of come in or step in, and what role do y'all play in this whole process?
So this is purely understanding and interviewing, working with youth so much, and because I've been in the startup community for over 15 years, spoke to so many founders that everyone's sitting with the same issue where we want to help the youth and employ them, but we don't know where to find good, credible youth. Youth are looking for opportunities, but they don't know where to turn because the platforms that's out there are extremely noisy and they are not suited for youth unemployment. Example being, if you put your CV up on LinkedIn, you're going to be drowned out by the thousands of applicants. And I'm sure you've submitted a job online for LinkedIn. You'll get everything from a bricklayer to a doctor basically applying for a digital marketing job. And you that's at the bottom of the pile is never going to get that opportunity. So what we've done is create a platform that specifically focus on, again, I'm going to use this quite a few times this evening, skills over credentials, right? Because you don't have the UCT, UKZN, UJ next to your CV, you're already at the bottom of the pile. So we focus specifically on the youth that tell us how you do the job, not how you were taught to do the job.
Okay. So these may be youth that don't have the necessarily academic qualifications, but have the hands-on kind of experience of doing some stuff.
Correct. So we focus on aptitude, attitude, and potential.
Okay. And in your experience now that you've been at this for, you said, just over a year, what kind of skills are the youth coming with, or is it quite diverse?
Yeah, it's extremely diverse in terms of, because we look at it through two lenses. You've got the technical skills, which is what you can actually physically do, and then you've got the soft skills, which we speak about in terms of how you show up, are you teachable, and a lot of that is where, if you speak to founders, and I'm sure you've spoken to many of them, they all want youth that are teachable and trainable and are trustworthy, as opposed to how you actually can do the job in terms of the technical things, because many of that you're going to learn on the job anyway. But do you have the hunger and the desire to want to learn and succeed within that business?
Okay, many young people struggle to gain experience because employers often require experience. So now we spoke about this earlier, but how can businesses break this cycle?
Hmm. Great question. I mean, this is probably one of the biggest contradictions in hiring and creates a massive paradox. We tell young people that they need experience to get the job, but they need a job to get the experience. Someone
Exactly.
needs to break the loop, like you just said.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think businesses can start as a bit, well, we can look at it differently in terms of looking at it through potential as a bit to the less polish. And again, this is me saying it, skills over the credentials. We need to ask better questions when it comes to the interview. Can this person learn? Do they show up? Do they take feedback well? Because that's also a critical skill, which is not really taught in schools. And are they improving when you've given them the opportunity? This doesn't mean that the company needs to lower their standards, but it means giving people a fair chance to reach that standard. Young people don't need a free pass at all. I don't believe that. All that we need to give them is the actual runway.
Okay. And what kind of practical steps can companies take to create this internship, apprenticeship, mentorship, learnership opportunities that can lead to sustainable employment?
Hmm. My advice, keep it simple. Start literally with one person. Look at your own business and where somebody can actually contribute while learning, because we shouldn't forget that they are still busy in the learning path. Then put a little bit of structure around it, give them clear expectations, assign assign a mentor or a guide for them, check in regularly because we need that feedback loop, and then give them real work. Don't simply just place them in the corner and ask them to do the admin. The difference between a great internship and a bad one usually isn't the budget, it's the structure and the feedback itself. What young people want to know is what's expected of them and how do they know if they're doing well, and then ultimately what happens next, because those are the things that matter to the youth.
Okay, I involved in the clothing industry, and I've recently been interacting with some what you call CETAs, um, on what can be offered from that perspective. So, from a business collaborating with educational institutions and community organizations, how critical is that in the greater scheme of things?
I mean, I can't overemphasize how critical and essential it ultimately is. One of the biggest problems is that everyone is trying to solve youth unemployment in isolation. We've got institutions, we've got business SA, we've got government all working in isolation, trying to solve the same thing. Training providers is focusing on the education, businesses is trying to focus on hiring and solving it through that way. And we've got community organizations focusing on how do we support the youth itself. But young people experience all of these things in one single journey. And I've seen people complete really, really strong programs through the CETAs, like you've mentioned, and still struggle because there isn't that bridge to the actual work itself. Businesses need to be more vocal of what they need, and then feedback that to the training providers, and training providers need to stay close to industry. And a typical example, and I really want to oversimplify it. I went to one of the CETAs the other day, and they were still teaching the youth how to fix a carburetor on a car. Most cars these days don't have carburetors, they fuel injection, or they've got using electric these days. So the education institutions need to keep with the times and understand the way that industry and business is moving, especially with the rise of AI. It's at a rapid pace. So that feedback loop needs to happen. And community organizations often understand that barriers employers don't always see, like transport, confidence, family pressure, or simply not having the networks. Real change is only going to happen when we all work together to solve this.
Yes, and I do think the CETAs I have given businesses incentives to employ the youth as well by funding a major portion of their salaries. I think for the first 9 months or so.
Correct. There's quite a few of them, and there's quite a few organizations like Yes for Youth as well that work in the tech sector that are also giving some of the youth stipends.
Yes, so there's a call out to the businesses to say, you know what, explore how you can employ people through these CETAs. And there's a great incentive, and a lot of them, literally you got the first 9 to 12 months salary almost written off, or at a small cost to the business, funded primarily from the CETAs and the funding that they get, just to give the employees the opportunity to become valuable in the workplace. So yeah, I think businesses must make a conscientious effort to try to see what can be offered via the CETAs.
And a little bit of inside information for you and the listeners as well on the business side. You actually get to claim that back because you run that through your payroll. And if you've got a really good accountant, you can actually use and leverage that payment to claim back from your skills levy as well. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Okay. Besides and beyond technical skills, what workplace competencies such as communication, teamwork, problem solving, and professionalism are most valued by employers?
If I have to pick one, it's going to be reliability. Employers want to know that they can trust you. If you commit to something, do they actually follow through? If you're stuck, do you communicate? And if you make a mistake, do you own it? Communication, teamwork, problem solving, all of that, all basically sit under the word of trust. Technical skills may open the door for you, but professionalism is what's going to keep you in the job itself.
Okay. Zerk, we're going to go for a short ad break. And when we come back, we will continue our very interesting discussion on how businesses can create real pathways into work, especially for our youth.
Perfect.
Radio Ansaar.
Welcome to Simplex Radio. Visit our showroom for the full range of car audio. Our TV department carries top brands with quality LED panels, full HD to Ultra HD, and now the experience of Super Ultra HD. Visit our theater rooms and transform your home with brands like Onkyo, Integra, Denon, Boston Acoustics, Yamaha, and more for quality audio visual experience. Now available, full range of home appliances. A one-stop shopping experience. Call 031 306 4029 or Kenilworth Park, 202 Brickfield Road, Overport. Simplex Radio, the name you can trust.
Get ready to elevate your fitness game at First Fitness in Durban's Berea. With a spacious free weight area, award-winning equipment, and exclusive ladies-only parking and training level, we've got everything you need to crush your goals. Hit the ground running on our outdoor track or unleash your inner warrior in our MMA and boxing dungeon. Plus, enjoy high security and ample parking. And don't forget to refuel at our halal coffee and health restaurant for the best in coffees, smoothies, and healthy eats. Join us today and redefine your fitness journey. First Fitness, dare to be extraordinary.
The chaos and destruction in the Gaza Strip is beyond comprehension. Virtually everyone is displaced, hungry, and in urgent need of life-saving humanitarian support. The Al Imdad Foundation has been working tirelessly to address the health, nutrition, and water needs of the population. Our hospital, water deliveries, and hot meal programs are made possible with your support. Your donation, big or small, is a lifeline for those in dire need. Help Gaza survive. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
Teaching you something new every day. Radio Al-Ansar.
Business Matters.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you've just joined us, it's the Business Matters program on Radio Al Ansar, brought to you by the Minara Chamber of Commerce. You with me, Anwar Moolla, and I have been speaking to a gentleman by the name of YAZID BOHARDIEN, and he is the CEO of a company called LAUNCHPATH, launching the careers of our youth, trying to get them into firm employments and guiding, and I'm sure mentoring as well. Yazid, before we went on that break, we're talking a bit about what businesses could do. You are in a different part of the world to us. I'm sure you have your own different challenges to us. But how can a program like what you are doing in your neck of the woods be brought down to our end of the world here in KZN, and create some sort of a platform, if I want to call it that, for our youth to be recognized and to be employed by the businesses in this area?
Great question. So first of all, it's not uniquely Cape Townian problem at all. It's very much national as well as continental. So how we tackle that is through technology. I mean, my platform is purely based online, where the institutions that I work with specifically are future focused, and the companies that I specifically partner with as well on a national stage are also future focused, where we're trying to create opportunity for youth that do all the things that we told them as I want to say elders, right? I'm referring to my parents that taught me in terms of you need to go to university, you must get your degree, you must go and study. You did all of those necessary things, and still opportunity is not there for everyone. It's for certain people only. And that is the rights or the wrongs that we're trying to right, rather.
Okay, you would LAUNCHPATH. You've got just over a year's experience now in this area. Can you share some of your success stories with us in terms of taking people from point A to point B?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, just this morning we placed 5 youth, all under one banner with a startup called Rapid AI, who focuses on health. Who are doing phenomenal things in that. And they were specifically looking for 3 developers as well as 2 technical salespeople. Managed to literally get on the phone, said, I've got the youth. What is it that you're looking for in the soft skills? Because again, that's the important part, where both the youth and I encourage youth to interview the employer as much as the employer is interviewing the person itself. And they were placed literally within, I think it was 45 minutes. It took them to secure their first role. And it's all about finding and asking the right questions, understanding that they're not going to know everything right now, but do they have the right attitudes to make a difference, not just for the business, but for the impact they're going to have on the entire community as well.
Okay, so, I mean, fantastic. 5 youth placed in one morning. Excellent. I mean, really can't think of anything better. But based on your experience, how many of these youth really stick it out and go the full way? What type of percentage success do you have?
So for the year, which is a great question, because one of the important KPIs which I use, and I'm using business terms, I know, is stickiness, right? How sticky is the youth that we place? Because it's one thing getting them in the job, and then 3 months down the line, they say, this was not for me. I should have been a lawyer, I should have been a doctor, but now I want to go study digital marketing. That's all part of finding themselves, because we're asking youth to make an important decision as to go into your first role, and they've never even discovered who they are as a person. So stickiness is a critical KPI for me. And currently we're sitting at about 55 to 60%, where they've gone through the probation on to completing 6 months to a year.
In the experience that you've had so far, is there a particular field that you find is more where you got more acceptance, more willing to employ, and where the youth want to be employed in? any sector that you find is
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky to answer that outright because each sector has its own uniqueness, pros and cons. But where the youth is particularly gravitating towards is in the tech world. I also come out of the tech scene itself, so I have a lot of experience in that. But a lot of youth are gravitating towards that types of careers, especially now with the rise of AI.
okay. So how can businesses create workplace cultures that would support these youth, that support the growth, development, and retention, most importantly, retention of these young employments, while encouraging excellence and responsibility?
Young employees need two things at the same time: support and accountability. Give them clarity, tell them what good looks like, give feedback early. And one mistake businesses make is waiting until the end to tell someone they aren't meeting their expectations. And that doesn't help anybody. So, to foster a culture of, because again, we're dealing with youth and they are also still growing and learning their ways through the industry and through their careers. So helping them grow by giving feedback, telling them what they're doing well, where they can improve, explaining what feedback actually looks like when it's constructive and how they should use it. That will help balance growth both for them and the business itself.
Okay. You must be doing something right here because I've got a flood of uh, WhatsApp messages hitting us
Alhamdulillah.
here in studio, and most of them wanting to know what are your contact details so that they can, I think, get hold of you and discuss things further.
That would be excellent. I mean, easiest way to get a hold of me is via email, which is yazid@launchpath.co.za. It's on the website, which is launchpath.co.za. Or simply just drop me a WhatsApp on 0788 046306.
You want to repeat that a little bit slower?
Sorry, it's yazid@launchpath. So it's YAZID @launchpath.co.za. Cell phone number is 0788 046306.
Okay, so it's 0788 046306.
Perfect.
And you do have a website as well, which is launchpath.co.za.
It's perfect.
Okay. Yazid, some parting advice. What message would you like to share with South Africa's youth about preparing for the future of work and taking ownership of their own personal and professional development?
I want to take it back to the advice that was given to me by my grandfather ultimately, which is become someone that people can trust. Skills matter, qualifications matter, but without trust, you will never have the opportunity. If people know that you show up, that you communicate with integrity, you take responsibility, you keep improving, and they'll always remember you. And I mean, I always tell that to all the youth that I mentor as well, is have integrity in terms of do what you say and say what you do. And the opportunities will come, and you have to, that's an intrinsic value. No one can teach it to you. You have to have it instilled in yourself, because without that, everything will pass you by. You won't even recognize what an opportunity is.
Yes, and unfortunately, we're living in challenging times, and the one scourge amongst us at the moment is the issue of drugs. And I'm sure you must be coming across it as well,
Yep.
in your role as a mentor to these youth that you're busy working with. How big a problem is it? And I mean, I'm to ask you to how do we counter it? That's a minefield out there. But how big a problem is it? And getting these youth gainfully employed, is it making a difference?
I mean, it's a difficult topic. It's one we can sit for another hour and discuss this. I've got the time if you do. The drugs it's a massive problem. And when we say drugs, I'm not even speaking about the hardcore stuff that is destroying communities and livelihoods. It's the simple things and I always liken it to, it removes your conscious thinking and conscious behavior. If anything is removing you from making an informed decision, that's a bad drug for you already. So always try and remain in control of your thoughts, your thinking process, and that will kind of aid you in making better decisions. You're not always going to make the right decision, but you can make better decisions. And if you make the wrong decision, learn from it and come back stronger.
Okay. Yeah, wise words and really something that one should be taken to a heart. Yazid, really interesting talking to you. A minefield of a topic, and unemployment being such a big and a critical problem in our society. We all hope for success. We all hope that our youth,
Inshallah.
our children can be gainfully employed. And
Inshallah.
I think the plea basically goes out to our Muslim-owned businesses is that give these youth a chance. I mean, I can't emphasize it more, but maybe you can put it better than me.
No, you've emphasized it as best as possible. Because you started the show with idle hands is the devil's playground. If we remove that barrier and keep them busy, we ultimately remove the devil out of the community. But it's going to take us as business owners to be brave, to take that chance on the youth and foster that culture, which was how we were brought up. It's going to take a community or a village to raise a child, right? And we need to bring that back into not only our homes, but also our businesses as well.
We need to remember that there was a time when we were all young. We were all a bit reckless as well, I must say. And as you get older, you mature and become more responsible. But somebody gave us a chance. Somebody gave us a chance in life. Not every child out there has a father or a grandfather's business that they can walk into. So treat them as your own. Give these youngsters a chance, and I'm sure they'll pleasantly surprise us because all they want is that opportunity.
Inshallah. Yeah, I sincerely hope for that.
Okay, Yazid, lovely talking to you. Inshallah, we will speak again and share more success stories. We wish the 5 youth that you placed this morning everything of the absolute best. And may there be many, many more 5 youth that you can place into
Ameen.
places
Ameen.
of employment. And yeah, one child taken off the street, placed into gainful employment, that's a whole family that you could be feeding. I mean, statistics state that each breadwinner out there is feeding 5 mouths. So just think about it. I mean, how many mouths could be fed from just creating that little opportunity for the one person out there? And I'm sure these youth are just hungry for that opportunity. So yeah, let's give them that. So businesses out there, we appeal to you. Give the youth a chance. Yazid, lovely talking to you. Some parting words, please, from yourself.
First of all, Jazakallah to you, Anwar, for again allowing me the platform to raise such an important topic. Parting words is simply just Jazakallah to everyone and everyone listening. What Anwar, you've made such a special dua for helping the youth. I'm into that, and we wish all the businesses that's listening here success in your business, so that you may have the opportunity to hire as many youth as possible.
Okay. Jazakallah for that, Yazid. And with that, it's the end of today's program. Inshallah, we'll be back with you with another interesting topic. And Yazid, all we can tell you, brother, we wish you every bit of success. And thank you for taking on this critical, important role of getting our youth off the street and getting them gainfully employed. So with that, it was Assalamu alaikum. And inshallah, I'll speak to you again
Alaikum
next
salam.
Monday. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Business Matters. The title suggests many things. The important issue is the world revolves around business, society, organizations, individuals, and even religion survives and thrives because of business. Business has to encompass not just financial commodity and service transactions. It has also to include welfare, justice, empowerment, environmental, and other issues too. Every week, Business Matters will delve into aspects of business that impact our lives. We will seek out extraordinary and ordinary people who have done extraordinary things. speakers, facilitators, educators, and entrepreneurs will be invited to inspire and enlighten our listeners. Join Anwar Moolla for an interactive show and find out what really matters in business.